Namaste, good morning. Today we are going to have a short discussion on knowledge in the light of Sri Aurobindo's writing. To begin with, one day the Divine Mother was informed that some knowledgeable person, one wise man, has come to meet the Mother. He is waiting there on the downstairs. Then Mother little listens and smiles a little bit. He says, "This world is full of ignorance. Where this knowledge comes and knowledgeable person is formed." Anyway, he was allowed to meet, and after meeting he felt as if he knows nothing. But actually he is having some university high degrees, qualifications and good name and fame. Anyway, we are going to have a short discussion on this topic, knowledge. Sri Aurobindo says, of all that we know from the outside only. There are two things, one outside and one inside. This knowledge of the books, knowledge of the world, that is already explored, it is written. So everything, whatever we know, that is from the outside only. Second condition, how to acquire knowledge, what is the condition of acquiring knowledge? Sri Aurobindo says, one must know that one is ignorant before one is begin to know. Before you know, somebody has to be determined that he knows nothing. If the temple is clean, then the God will be installed there perfectly. So if there is ego, then naturally there is no place of God, for God. Third, the master says, knowledge only begins when we get away from the surface phenomenon, from the external being, from the surface, when we move out and we look behind them, and for their two operations and causes. And when we turn inward, we are living behind the outer surface phenomenon. When we get inward, when we turn inward, then only there is the perfect time, perfect condition for acquiring knowledge. Then Sri Aurobindo speaks of some couple of types of knowledge, that is real knowledge. The real knowledge, even the scientific knowledge, comes going behind the surface phenomenon. Same thing. On the surface, as long as we are there, actually we are cheating. We are not actually accompanying and acquiring any knowledge. So to acquire the true knowledge, naturally we have to be deviated. We have to go away from the surface phenomenon to their hidden processes and causes. Something is hidden there behind the veil. We have to go there. That is not on the surface. Naturally we have to go deep within. Then comes the sign of dawning knowledge. How can we know this is we are going to acquire the knowledge? The sign of dawning knowledge is to feel that as yet I know little or nothing. Absolutely I know nothing, or very little I know. Then only this knowledge will come and something will be there. There will be actually opening for the adventure of the true knowledge, that will the real knowledge which will rush inside us like the sea, the waves. We can remember that the same thing we can remember when Ramachandra went to the ashram of Vasishtha, his guru. Then at that time Guru was inside. Rama knocked at the door. Guru is asking, who is there? Rama remains silent. After a couple of times, 2 or 3 askings, he says, I don't know who I am. To know who I am, to acquire the knowledge, I have come here. See, this is Tripurari, this is Avatar. He is actually so polite, so concentrated. He is saying, to know myself, to know who I am, I have come here. Please teach me. Then also Lord says, knowledge is the foundation of constant living in the divine. What is knowledge? We are living, that is for the only our livelihood, to earn some money, to earn our livelihood, to have a smooth living. For that actually we are acquiring knowledge. But actually knowledge is the foundation of constant living with the divine. With the divine we have to remain constantly with the divine. For that actually we acquire knowledge. That is the real source of knowledge, that is true knowledge. Then another thing says, when we have passed beyond knowings, we can have knowledge. This knowing. When we have passed the border, then border of knowing, then we will have the knowledge, true knowledge. If we are limited, if we are actually bounded, if we are having some egocentric, then naturally this knowledge will never come. Knowledge, real knowledge, actually it is veiled deep within, it is behind the veil, it is the source of coming in contact with the divine, knowing the divine and staying always with the divine. Next word, Sri Aurobindo speaks. What man call knowledge? Actually, usually, what is our experience, our opinion on knowledge is the rigid acceptance of false appearances. Today you see some appearance that there is nothing truth is in it. When this appearance seems to us, today we feel it is actually true knowledge. Tomorrow we contradict our vision, our visions, our reasonings, we contradict, nobody is going to contradict it. So naturally what men call knowledge is the rigid acceptance of appearances. Today it is actually true for us. It is actually we are awarded, the book is actually printed, it has been circulated, tomorrow a time will come, then naturally we will contradict or somebody else will come and contradict that actually we know nothing. Then actually how will be in a position to know what true knowledge is? Sri Aurobindo actually expresses, the soul sees and has experienced, not the mind. When the soul is there, naturally we think of the mind, ideas, thoughts, reasonings, these are all coming in the second from the latter, from the mind. So the soul, what the soul sees and has experienced, sees and experiences, that it knows, the rest is that is only truth, that is the true source of knowledge, that is true knowledge, there is no appearances. The rest is appearance, prejudice and opinion. Today it is true, few accept, even the actually thinker or seer, he accepts, tomorrow they themselves contradict it. Then we are coming, the knowledge need not be always the mental knowledge. Whenever we have talked of or we have thought of this knowledge, naturally we give preference to the mind because it has come to the thought process. This from the everything has actually come from the thought process or mental process. So knowing is not always a mental knowledge. There is nothing that can be known, that can't be known. So everything in the world, it is existing there, it can be known. Only thing is that there should be an query and there should be an interest and there should be an adventure for it to know it. There should be some willingness must be there. There is nothing that can't be known. Then after this real knowledge, Sri Aurobindo speaks of the second type of knowledge, that is supreme knowledge. What is that supreme knowledge? The consciousness of union with the divine. Consciousness of the union with the divine. For a spiritual seeker is the supreme knowledge. That is actually supreme knowledge. The consciousness of union with the divine is for the spiritual speaker, not for the ordinary speaker. His ordinary man, layman or ignorant man, it is told. For a spiritual seeker, that is supreme knowledge, consciousness of union with the divine. As you know, the definition of yoga is to be conscious union with the divine throughout with all our beings. So that is our yoga. So this consciousness of union with the divine is for the spiritual yoga seeker is the supreme knowledge. Then comes the third type of knowledge, that is known as experience, actually divided by, as narrated by Sri Aurobindo, is total knowledge. It is in the total knowledge that the all-knowing becomes one and indivisible. If the knowledge is total knowledge means that is actually supreme knowledge. In the total knowledge only, all knowings become one and indivisible. Entire knowledge, there are only subsets or elements in a full, subsets or elements in a full set. So naturally, whenever we are acquiring the total knowledge, every knowings are one and indivisible. Next, nothing in the world can be comprehended by itself, but only by that which is beyond it. We can comprehend whatever we see, whatever we know, and wherever you go, that is not constant. Actually, it has to go away. So we can't comprehend it. Naturally, it is everything is beyond it. Beyond it, so many things are there. Our thought, our mental phenomenon, our knowings, it has not proceeded there, reached there. Then Lord is emphasizing another thing. If we would know all, we must learn to gaze to that which is beyond all. So naturally, if you are wearing, as much as we are flying, we are covering, then naturally we will feel something is there beyond it. So Sri Aurobindo says, if we would know all, we must turn our gaze which is beyond all. So naturally there is no limit of the or no finiteness is there. जे पक्षी उड़े जेते as long as you can go, as far as you explore, then you will find still regions are there. It is not confined. It is too much, too vast. Then Sri Aurobindo speaks of another type of knowledge, that is number 4, exclusive knowledge. The pride of exclusive knowledge is a limitation and a barrier. Whenever you see this knowledge is exclusive, I possess it, then naturally it has brought a barrier before us. Then Sri Aurobindo comes and says, when knowledge is fresh in us, two types of things, fresh, whenever we are acquiring it freshly, and something already acquired, this is old. Sri Aurobindo speaks of when knowledge is fresh in us, it is invincible. When it is old, it loses virtue. So naturally, things whatever we have gained so far, that is actually it is done, it is dead. It is actually we are reading the things which have been comprehended, which have been narrated or written out from the centuries back. So when it is fresh, it is invincible. When it is old, it loses worth. Then Sri Aurobindo speaks of the fifth type of knowledge, that is actually eternal knowledge. The lotus of eternal knowledge and the eternal perfection, a bud closed and folded up within us. This eternal knowledge and eternal perfection, two things Sri Aurobindo speaks of, that is folded, not has been enfolded, it is within us. Sri Aurobindo comes for the next step. Knowledge is progressive. It can't be static, it can't sleep, it can't pause, so it must be progressive. As much as we are capable of acquiring and as much as we are exploring, we shall see these are still ahead, still we have to acquire, we don't know, we are like a pebble on the vast seashore on the beach, with vast oceans of knowledge is still there to be explored, and I am actually knowing nothing. Next is Sri Aurobindo speaks of the sixth type of knowledge, that is metaphysical knowledge. Sri Aurobindo speaks of metaphysical knowledge has its place, but it is handmade to the spiritual experience, not enough, not comprehended. So you have to go away. The real source of knowledge, if we can ask, Sri Aurobindo speaks of, it is the Lord in the heart. He is the real source of knowledge. Then next he comes on another term, all knowledge. It is only the supramental that is all knowledge. Without supramental, there is nothing which we can be called all knowledge. Be not deceived by ignorance or deceived by knowledge. Sri Aurobindo cautions us, be not be deceived by ignorance, or don't be deceived by the knowledge also. Human knowledge differentiating a shadow that conceals half the globe of truth. Human knowledge that actually conceals, but the divine knowledge embraces opposite truths and reconciles it. Finally, we have to speak one word: knowledge and will have naturally to be one before either act perfectly. So naturally, whenever there is knowledge, there must be will for it. Naturally, we are going to acquire it. So this knowledge only a surface phenomenon. We have to go beyond this surface phenomenon. We have to turn inward. We have to get identified with the spirit. Then only we will have the power actually to knowledge, to know the real knowledge. Thank you, Vande Mataram.